Hey everybody, hope and pray that you're doing well. Today, as we come to our word from the Word, and today that word is return. Return. Now, as we're looking at the story of Balaam here in Numbers chapter 22, if you're watching daily, this is Friday, ending out the week, and we're going to finish up really the story of Balaam in this particular instance next week. We'll see on Monday as a donkey, and I'm not talking about the one from Shrek, starts talking. And so to think about this, what must be setting the stage for all of this? But now here today is return, and I want you to see that Balaam returns to the Lord again. Now, if you're reading the whole passage, you're seeing that Balaam has refused. He said, "Look, I talked to the Lord. He said, nope, I cannot curse Israel. There's no way." So the people, I'm not going to go with you. The people go away. And then here we find today that they come back. And I want to read you what he responds to them in verse 18 and 19 as he's basically trying to ward off this. They're coming back again. Well, why do they keep pestering me? So in verse 18, he says, "Then Balaam answered and said to the servants of Balak, though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more. Now, therefore, please, you also stay here tonight that I may know what more the Lord will say to me." God goes on to tell him after that, well, if they keep persisting, then you can go with them, but you're only going to say what I say. And you'll see this theme throughout the rest of the chapter. But there's something else going on here. I think that, I told you yesterday, and just a little background in case you're just watching today, that Balaam, you say, okay, well, was he a good guy? Was he a bad guy? Was he really a man following God? Or was he just kind of an idolater, just playing the harlot, playing the field with all the gods? And and I say that all the little g gods, all the man-made gods, but there's only a one true God. We know that. But to look as he's going back, he says, well, let me return to the Lord. Now, I think I just got to thinking about this, and this is what I want us to maybe think about, maybe challenge you with today. Sometimes I think we are content to go to the Lord once in prayer and be done. Yep, I got my answer. I'm moving on. Now, of course, we know from reading scripture here that he was very plain and simple, and God spoke to him that simply and that plainly. Now, if you're like me, there's sometimes where God speaks very plainly and there's no mistaking it. Then there's other times where you say, okay, well, did I understand that right? Did I read more into that than it was? Was it God? Was it, how do I know? How do we discern the voice of God? And so I almost kind of get, you've got part of Balaam probably wanting to get some more money out of them and maybe make them stick around a little longer. But you also have this part of, well, wait a minute. He says, I can't go further or do less or more than what God would have me to do. So maybe I'll just stay another night. Let me do like yesterday. Let me rest in this. Let me sleep on it again. Let me think about this and pray about this some more. Now, there's nothing wrong with going back to the Lord and praying over a same situation to be sure that you got the right answer. And I don't mean that the answer that he gave you would change, but the fact that you want to make sure that you discerned it correctly. Some of this we see even in the story of Gideon, that as he goes back and, there's some fear and some struggles of faith with him laying out the fleece twice and testing the Lord, but that's for another day. But here we see that he's going back, he's returning to the Lord. Now, I wonder how often we return to the Lord to make sure that we heard it right. I wonder how often we continue to seek God. Maybe even after we know the answer and we know what he said the first time, but we still continue to seek his will and his way in the follow-up steps. See, I think sometimes we think that God just gets it started and then we take over. Well, the only part that we take over is being obedient to do the next thing that he tells us to do. This is the same way as we would say, okay, well, we make our plans and then ask God to bless them. That's not going to end up well. So if it's God's plan, and then we say, yes, God, I'm going to do your plan and do your will, why would it be wrong to stop and pray at every step to make sure that it's right? See, I think this is why we hear from the New Testament to pray without ceasing. It's a constant conversation with God. It's just like as a child would talk to his father and say, Daddy, what do I need to do next? Daddy, is this what you said I need to do next? And a loving father says, yes, son. Yes, daughter, that's exactly what I need you to do next. See, some of this, I think sometimes we forget that we can return at any time. We can pray at any time. In our humanity, I think sometimes we think that, that would be worrisome to God. But if Scripture tells us that He already knows what we have need of before we ask, then how would it be worrisome to rather to go back and ask again? Now, I'm not saying when God gives you a clear no, that let's use Paul as an example. He says, he prayed 3 times for the thorn in the flesh to be removed, but God said no. So, there is a moment where we, move on. But I wonder how many times we really return. That's the word I really want us to think about today is how often do we return to the Lord in prayer? So I pray that you would do that today. God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.